Good morning. It's 7:27. A new study links a later bedtime with an increased risk of obesity in kids.
Dr. Jamie Friedman joining us now to explain. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning.
Boy, oh boy, here we are again talking about sleep. It's so important, isn't it? Let's talk about how much sleep children should get under a certain age. Explain what this is all about.
So this specific study was looking at kids under age 6. So when we talk about the preschool aged kids, about 10 to 12 hours at night is what they should be getting. But it's not, in this study it showed it's not really about how much sleep, but also when they're going to sleep.
So when do they have to go to sleep? Because I think usually for our kids, when they were that age, by 7 or 7:30, am I kind of throwing that out?
I still need to understand why they fight the sleep. I try to tell them one day you'll be at an age where you're going to give anything to try to get some sleep, but it's always a battle every single night. I'm sure our families at home agree.
Yeah, I think that they just don't want to miss out on what's going on. What you really want, and you know this with little ones when they talk about being overtired and missing that window to get them to sleep, it's the same with older kids. You want them to be going to sleep when they're first feeling tired, when it's kind of that dark, it's getting dark and their melatonin's being released. You don't want to wait till it's too late and then they're overtired and they're running around and they're jumping on their beds and then you can't get them to settle. So you have to find that right window when they kind of are sleepy and it's easy for them to drift off. And if that's 7:30, that's great. I mean, that's when they should go to bed.
Is there a perfect window there of sleep time for that age that we should kind of try to go by?
I mean, I usually tell parents 7:30, 8 o'clock for those kids. And that's, it depends on, if they're napping, if they're not napping, what they're doing during the day. I think a lot of parents think, well, they can go to bed later because they sleep in the morning and they have the right amount of sleep. But I also think really catching them when they need to go to sleep is really important.
What is this in this study that says that a later bedtime, if they're going to bed later, will affect them later in life?
Yeah, that was really interesting. I was really interested in this study because it wasn't really looking at, like I said, the amount of sleep, but more what time they were going to sleep. Now, the authors of this study were not able to pinpoint what was the root cause of this. Is there something else in their lifestyle that kind of contributed to later bedtime and maybe eating worse food or, kind of contributing to being overweight? I kind of hypothesized in my own mind, well, maybe it's that overtired cortisol release that kind of correlates with gaining weight.
So the study is saying that a later bedtime contributes to obesity for kids later in life.
Yes, in this particular study. Wasn't a large amount of kids. I don't think it was done in the U.S., so it's something that needs to be looked into more. But it is well known that less sleep does correlate with obesity.
I tell you straight, when I have a week off of work here, it is so easy, so easy to lose weight. And the second you go back on that schedule where you're just not sleeping and you're not getting that rest, it's much more difficult to lose weight or keep the weight off.
Yeah,
for
adults, definitely. I mean, that's been a known correlation for a long time. What was interesting about this was just looking at the bedtime itself.
The bedtime itself.
Does it have to do with habits in terms of the family's habit of sleeping and eating, and then that in turn is projected onto the children? Because if you're not getting proper sleep times and proper sleep and then the food, it all connects.
I mean, definitely if you have a more chaotic home life where maybe there aren't strict rules, you can imagine where if they're not really enforcing bedtime, are they not really enforcing healthier foods or not snacking as much? And so there may be some correlation with that.
It has been a lot easier to get the kids to go to bed because the moon is out and it's dark outside. A few weeks, all of that is going to change again, and I'm starting to dread it going, oh my gosh, how am I going to get these kids to sleep?
Oh, it's time to sun's oh my God! It explained daylight saving
time change.
So what do we do? Are there things that we can do now, and what can we do so when that time change does come? Because naturally they're going to go to bed later.
Right, and it's soon. Like we looked it up last night. I was like, wow, it's coming up, and I completely forgot. It's really important to have good, what we call sleep hygiene. So your sleep routines need to be kind of set. And with kids, it's like, their bath, brush their teeth, read their book, get them relaxed, no screens, right? None of that social media right before bedtime or videos or whatever, because that shuts off your melatonin. It makes it hard to fall asleep. So once the time change happens, especially for younger kids who really aren't maybe paying attention to the clock, just do the routine, do everything the same, and see if they can just drift off to sleep. It might be an adjustment, though.
I'm glad you're here because we're guilty of this, where the routine gets done in the bath and the brushing your teeth and get your pajamas on, but then there's like a little bit of window, and we've relax for 20, 30 minutes and watch whatever videos you. I mean, I know that you're not supposed to do that, but it relaxes them. But then I'm thinking, that doesn't relax them because they're staring at an iPad screen and they can't get to bed after
screens,
that.
And talking about data, there's good data on screens in the room. This is looking more at TVs. This is kind of before iPads.
Right.
But that reduces sleep. And so you're kind of forcing yourself to stay awake to watch the show. And the light from the screen is shutting down your melatonin. So it really is not a great habit. I mean, I know a lot of people kind of grew up falling asleep to the TV. But for kids, it's not really a great habit. And so you may want to make some adjustment and say, well, we'll watch a show before we brush our teeth or something like that.
I'm just going to tell them Dr. Friedman says no.
Sure. You send them to me. I love taking the blame.
Doctor, thank you so much. Good advice.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.